My name is Sven. I work for Atlassian as a developer advocate, and I've been so long in this industry that I remember that there was a time before we actually had this great ways of working, and that was actually in a galaxy far, far away for some of you. It was actually where we had just two methods of developing software, right? So the one method that we had at that time when I studied and I became a junior developer was this one here, waterfall development. Who remembers waterfall development? Oh, most of you. Wow, I saw you're all just like cool agile people here, right? Well, okay, great. Great. So we actually share the same pain, right? You remember waterfall development, very, very slow. We had to get the requirements right. Then when we got the requirements right, we just like had to implement it, build the software, program the software, code it down. Then we testing it, and then we showed it to the customer. That was normally just like 1 year later or something, right? And then the customer said, "Oh, this is not what we wanted," right? And then you go back to the requirement. So it was very slow. So people were getting obsessed with, were going to get very, very upset with just like this way of developing software. It wasn't really working for people. So they came up with another methodology that I call the Wild West development. And the Wild West development was kind of just like, okay, we do whatever people say, we just like put it in code, and then the code got a big mud, and no one could maintain it anymore, but we had a lot of features in there that no one used. So also not the best methodology to develop software. So we needed something that was more in between, a little bit structure on one hand, right? Like we had in waterfall development, but a little bit more like iterative aspect. And on the other side, that we can just like react fast to changing requirements. So because this was very slow and this was too chaotic. So we came up with this here, agile, right? Agile. And that was actually great because it gave us the right balance, right? If you read the Agile Manifesto, like the values are great. It's not a big structure. It's just a bunch of values that we just like, that we value, right? And it's great, right? It's the right thing. And we thought all just like when Agile came, I thought, yeah, great. Yeah, I'm just like going for Agile. So how did Agile evolve over the years, right? You might have gone through this, right? 1999 extreme programming, actually before the Agile Manifest came out. And then 2002, Scrum was there before actually 2002, but the whole like certification stuff, the whole role stuff in Scrum came in 2002. And then we had the rational unified process. Who remembers the rational unified process? No one here in the room, right? Yeah, it was something from IBM. And they kind of adapted it a little bit to just like be more agile. And then we had test-driven development, which is great, which played well with Agile, with writing tests before, right? So this was kind of our requirements back. We're writing the test before, then we write the code, and then we just like see if our requirements have been met, right? And then we had crystal clear. Anyone remembers crystal clear here? Yeah, that was an Agile method that was not very popular. It has something with colors. I didn't really understand what it did, but yeah, it was also an Agile method. Then all of a sudden, we wanted to scale. We wanted to scale Agile. So less is large enterprise scaled Scrum. So that was the first try that we tried to just like scale Scrum. Or there was also Scrum of Scrums, if some remember that. Then design thinking came, lean startup, build, measure, learn cycles, and then DevOps, right? So we expanded with design thinking on the one side, more on the ideation side, and then with DevOps on the operation side, we expanded the whole like developing process to involve more roles, to make it broader. And then in 2011, Seve came, right? And that's just like the scaled agile framework, a lot of processes, and a lot of things. So companies are actually, they want these standards, right? So they just like said, we want a little bit of Scrum and a little bit of design thinking, and lean startup is also a great concept. And then we just like do DevOps. Of course, we need to do DevOps. We need to bring the IT department closer to our developers. So test-driven developers must also be. And then they put this together in a big process, right? So we are actually, if you just like follow this, going back to be more process, right? And then if people put this together, things can look like this here, process maps. I've seen that actually. This is actually happening. Companies are building these, and these are all frameworks in one picture. Isn't that great, right? So putting all the frameworks in, this is how we want to work, right? Now we can actually see how our requirements flow to the development and then to the ops people in just like one big framework. This is how we follow it, right? Well, what's that? Yeah, it looks like the London tube map, right? Right. So really, which should we exit to just like go from Scrum to test-driven development? I don't know. Anyway, so and I looked at it quite some time and tried to find, right. So what was Agile all about? We're just like writing software. Right? We need to write software. So I was looking actually, where do we write software? Where do we write software here? Where's actually where? There, right in between these 2 points. This is actually where the code is written, right? This is where the magic happens, right? So, and maybe I'm overdoing it a little bit, but actually standardization can actually go way too far, right? And people and companies are taking it also too far. We are back into the whole like waterfall development. We just like called it now everything into one methodology. And we're feeling the pain, right? It's not that, yeah, now we are just like faster, because we asked actually organizations, what is your top challenge, right? And 43% of organizations says low productivity is the biggest challenge that we have right now. So we didn't solve all the productivity issues with just like being agile and putting all those frameworks in, right? And also for software developers, for the people, the developers that are actually doing the work, they are saying on the other side and say, yeah, but we feel like we're stuck in traffic, right? It's a little bit like stuck in traffic. We can't move forward. We need to pull off features, so we can't get out of this mud here somehow. So we are stuck here. So what can we do, right? Yeah, what can you do, right? Well, if you see just like you're stuck in traffic, you are not stuck. You are not stuck in traffic. Actually, you are the traffic, right? You are the traffic. All of you are the traffic. If you don't move forward, nothing will actually happen. So you have to do something. It's not coming from organizations that says, oh, now we're just like freeing you from all these processes, do whatever you want. So developers need to stand up and say, yeah, we are stuck here. We need to change it. Doesn't mean that we need to change everything all at once, but we need to just like go through step by step and change some stuff. And that's why I call it a devolution. Right? We need to start empowering our developers. So we hire a lot of great developers, right? From university, senior developers, right? We're just like doing a lot of things. We just do a lot of talent acquisition. We're just like trying to find the best of the best of the best. But how do we treat them? We throw them into this processes that they have to work in, right? But think about it. You hired full-grown adults, right? Treat them like this. They are full-grown adults. They can't stand up for themselves. They know what's important for the software development. You don't have to tell, the companies don't have to tell them that. So it means also less processes, and teams need to run at their own pace. Teams are different. Teams are just like, they're mobile teams, they're back-end teams, they're front-end teams. Teams are actually different, so they need to run at their own pace. And also give teams the time and the resources to make the change themselves. This is also important, right? Also the time and resources. So as I said, don't worry. We don't start a revolution here. It's an evolution, right? We take it step by step. Change one thing at a time. Nothing will really change if you just like say we throw everything over the wall and just like do something new. That will not help, right? We need to just like change one thing at a time. But the question is also, what is actually the biggest developer challenge out there right now? So where should we start? What is the biggest challenge that we have? We heard low productivity, but this is just like the outcome. We need to just like see, what should we fix, right? What is the biggest challenge out there? It is YAML. It is YAML, I think. If we get rid of YAML, everything will be fine, right? Well, what's that? Yeah, all that, right? But we actually looked at things and talked to our developers at Atlassian and say, hey, what are the top challenges? And then we took the top 6 challenges And these are the top 6 challenges that we have, right? It's execution independence. How can we execute more independently without just like having friction between teams? Managing the code pipeline and the infrastructure. This is also a challenge that a lot of teams have. This seems to be just like Atlassian challenges, but I think they are quite universal for all kinds of teams, right? Access to the right tool, processes, and practices. How often did I hear just like, I don't have the right laptop, I don't have the right hardware to develop things, right? Do we have the access to the right processes? Wait time. Waiting for builds, waiting for other teams to do things. Managing external standards like security and governance, and speed to ship quality code. So I took those challenges that teams at Atlassian has and asked, I think around 1,000 developers at different conferences around the world. And I give you now what is the top challenge of the most companies out there. So it's not managing external standards. It is not access to tools, processes, and practices. Now it's getting closer. It is not execution independence. It is not ship quality code. It is actually wait time with 31%. So 31% of the people say this is our top challenge that we have. It's wait time. We're waiting too much, right? And if we think about wait time, right, we think about this here, just like wait. When is the build done? Yeah, downloading. New package, download, okay, great. But build time is really different from team to team. What is a good build time? What is a good build time? Who can say that, right? Is it 10 minutes or is it 10 seconds? What is a good build time? I don't know. 10 minutes. If you give that to mobile teams, they would say, yeah, great. I talked to mobile teams and their build time are around just like 1.5 hours, right? So they were just like super happy with 10 minutes, right? 10 seconds. But if you ask front-end developers that do a JavaScript and say, if you edit the JavaScript and you can see the result in the browser 10 seconds later, they were just like, that sucks totally, right? So what is a good build time actually? And we need to just like treat teams differently. Back-end teams have a different build time than front-end teams or than mobile teams. Or if you work for one product, it could be that build time is different than for another product, right? So different teams have different goals to improve themselves. It could be just that 20 seconds is a great build time for one team, right? So we actually use our own tool Compass for doing that. So you can actually see we have scorecards. You can get that down to the microservice level, all right? The metrics down to the microservice level. And here you see just like the DevOps helps for that team isn't really high, or just like it's 75%, so it's high, but it's red. So you can just like click on it. And this is the definition that team has: PR cycle time, recent change, and they have a problem with deployment frequency. They want to deploy more than five deploys per week, and now they're at 3, which doesn't mean that this is a problem, but the team gets alerted and see, okay, let's look at that. And it might not be a problem. It might be totally fine, right? That there were just like 3 deploys. Could be just like vacation or people get sick. It's fine. But the number shows, okay, deployment frequency goes down and we have to do something, right? So these are what we call the signals that we see, right? The build times. But I also talked about the challenges that we have. So these actually are questions that we ask our developers regularly. So just like get a pulse of what's happening in development and where should we improve, and ask our teams regularly. And we just like do it on a scale from 1 to 10. How satisfied are you with your execution independence? And then with the different things that I presented before, right? So, but as I said, every team is different, right? So if we just like put that on a global scale and said, yeah, we all struggle with wait time, doesn't mean that everyone struggles with wait time, right? And wait time is maybe not important for all the teams. So we also asked, how important is that for your team, right? How important is that specific thing for your team? And out of these 2 scores, so I said scale from 1 to 10, we're calculating a so-called opportunity score. So you can see just like developer satisfaction, which was also in that, is high. It's important for people, and people are relatively satisfied with that. So if you're in this blue corridor here, things are okay, right? Things are fine. We don't have to look at these. Things are fine. These are the things that we need to watch out for, right? If importance is high and satisfaction is low, we need to do something about that. If you just like land up here, right, then you say, okay, importance is low, satisfaction is high, maybe we don't have to ask that question anymore. So this is really important. We give this to the specific teams, and they just like need to fix some stuff. If you want to learn more about this developer experience survey that we're doing, we have a free play on the team playbook out there. Just like Google developer experience survey Atlassian, and you'll find right that, where everything is written up, how we find this traffic light system, how we calculate the opportunity score, the questions that we ask. So it's all on that. You're going to find that. So talking about culture, right? This is a culture talk. Build a culture of continuously improving. Give people the opportunity, help them to continuously improve and to find the challenges that they actually have as teams. And then also empower teams to tackle their own challenges, right? And we talked about it. If you just like tackle your own challenges, you need to invest time, right? You need to invest time in improving, right? You need to do something. But what is the right balance between improving and building stuff, right? Building stuff for customers. We need to find the right balance there. What is the right balance? So we say actually spend around 10% of your time improving. You get 10% of your developer time to improve stuff. If things are really, really bad, you get more time, but this is just like rule of thumb. 10% of your time improve stuff and 55% of the time of building stuff. Now, you'd see there's missing something, right? There is 35% of the time, we call it keeping the lights on. So everything that is just like meetings, stuff like that, where you just like have to look at the infrastructure, log files, incidents. This is all keeping the lights on. So a maximum of 35% of keeping the lights on and a minimum of 55% of building stuff. But whatever your number is, right? We call it actually developer experience, running the business and changing the business. This is important for the next slide that we call it this way, because we are measuring this. So everything that we do is of course a Jira issue, right? So we put labels on Jira issues so we can actually see right here. This is the purple one is actually the developer productivity, how much time the team spent on developer productivity, changing the business and running the business, right? So you can see that we give this team the stats so they can actually see how much time they actually spent on those things. And if we hit our target, people are complaining but not doing anything about developer productivity, we need to talk to them. And as I said, we're using labels to just like identify these tickets that we have, right? But no matter what your numbers are, right? It's up to you to pick these numbers. Spend your time intentionally. Just don't just like say, oh, tomorrow we're migrating to the new JVM because it's fun to do that. No, spend your time intentionally saying, okay, this is important because if we want to just like keeping the lights on, we should move to the new JVM, right? So just like spend your time intentionally. Also the improved time, spend that with an intention. So build a culture of spending your time intentionally, and then also empower your teams to do what's best for the team, for the system, and for the business. As I said, you have hired grown-up adults. Treat them like that. They know what's good for the business. They know what's good for the system and for the team, right? Give them the responsibility. Empower your team to do these things. Now, there's one thing, just like empowering your teams, and it comes with increasing responsibility for the teams, right? They have to take on the responsibility. You have to take on, as developers, the responsibility to say, yeah, we are investing our time intentionally at the right things that make sense for the business and for the team and for the system. But how do we do that? How do we empower teams to do that? Especially if we work with other disciplines, right? So here's a user story that I want to show you that might, if you just like develop cars, might be a user stories that might come in, right? As a user, I need to control the air outlets in the middle console of the car. You know, the air outlets that are in the middle console of the car. So the direction can be adjusted individually for the driver and the passenger. Well, that's an easy user story, right? Give that to a team. And in that case, the car manufacturer has given that to a software team and they've built this here. Great, right? So you can adjust the outlets just on the touch screen. How much time went into this, right? Building the touch screen, doing this, instead of just like touching up there, right? It's just like crazy, right? It's actually why are people actually building this and thinking this is a great idea to do, right? It's a solved problem. The problem was already solved, but yeah, somehow this car manufacturer wanted to do that. And hey, this user story was in the backlog and we had to do it. So what we can do is Arnold here, the product manager, we can blame the product manager. It's his fault. It's Arnold's fault, right? That we needed to build it. We just like did the user story. It was a user story. We read it. We built it. It's fine. And hey, the user story, we just like did it. We nailed it, right? You can adjust it. You can adjust the outlets. Great. So everything's fine, right? So sometimes you need to turn on your brain a little bit. If you read those user stories, you need to just like be interested in what is the product that we're building doing actually for the customer. Sometimes it feels like product and engineers live on two different planets, right? And the only thing that connects us is a small little user story, right? We just like communicate through user stories, right? No. That's so wrong, right? So product and engineering, even if you just like talk about AI can take that user stories and build the code for you, right? We need to become more than just like software developers. We need to become more. We need to just like invest in knowing the product, knowing what the customer wants, what's the why behind it. We need to become what I call product engineers. So build a product and be an engineer. You're just like the bridge between these two disciplines, right? So we call it actually feature lead. So we're working at Atlassian with so-called feature leads that combine the why and the what. So we want to make that intentionally, build product engineers that care about the product. So one person in the team that's building a feature is the feature lead. So why are we building? And what are we building? The person is in between there and understands both sides of things. So we need to say, why are we doing it? What are we doing? And also, how will success look like? So now we just like, this is what we want to reach, right? But how do we communicate that to both teams, so the product team and the engineering team, right? So I give you one example here. And it is an actual project that we have done at Atlassian. It has to do with this. With this. What? Something that developers love. Dark mode, right? It has to do with dark mode. And so dark mode we implemented in Jira, but we wanted to run an experiment that calls default to dark mode. So the default, if you just like get a new Jira instance, should be in dark mode. Well, that sounds just like an easy thing, but people who know Jira, it's a pretty complicated product. So it was a small project that the team ran, right? So we created the why, the how, the what, right? So we use our own tool Atlas. You can use Google Docs or whatever you want, but we have our own tool for that. That's also out there. So it says, what are you doing, right? So specifically saying, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? And then you can see down the button you can't see is how will we judge success. I just like can just like scroll down there a bit, and then you actually can see that. So how will we judge success? So the feature lead here, David wrote that up. So you see also there's a project poster. The project poster is done in cooperation with the product team. So also here's more background around what is the problem that we are solving, what is the customer thing. Sometimes you have customer stories in there. So everyone understands better, why are we doing this? What is the reason why we're building this? We're not just like getting the user stories. And then you have all the updates. So there's a weekly update that we need to do on this in Atlas. So you can actually see all the updates that the team did, some designs that the design team did, and then the weekly update, what happened, right? And at the end, we completed it. You can see the owner is David here. He's the feature lead. And then you have the contributors, software engineers, and the product designer, and a few followers on that. So that helps actually to get everyone on the same picture. And as I said, we use Atlas for that, which is great, but use whatever you like. It's just like bringing the team together somewhere and having a little bit of a structure to talk about the why, the what, and the how. This is important. So feature leading actually helps us to combine these two roles, these two things, like the product world on one side and the engineering world on the other side. So we give the engineers more context, so they know what they are building, they know why they are building it. On the other side, we give the product team the updates, so they can say, you built that? Well, let us just like talk again. We need to talk again. I didn't like that screenshot that you just like posted. So also there you get early feedback from the teams. And the team is taking on more responsibility, not just for building the user story, but really thinking behind it, right? So some people might be happy with taking on more responsibility. They say, yeah, more responsibility. Not everyone in the team is actually. They say, can I just get this user stories, right? And also, especially for the feature leads, it's a lot of responsibility for the feature lead, that's being a feature lead, to say just, I want to be in between the product and the engineering part, right? It can be pretty scary to have that role, right? It's a little bit like being Batman and being responsible for the whole security of Gotham City, right? That's just like Batman staying there on their own. It's like, I am responsible for Gotham City's security. No. But you know what? Batman is not alone, right? Batman has Robin, right? So Robin is actually helping Batman when Batman just like, and they just like a team, right? It's a sidekick, is Robin, right? Actually, no one is actually on his own. Han Solo, even his name is Solo, he's not on his own. Who's the sidekick of Han Solo? Right, Chewbacca, right? Yeah. Or even the Little Mermaid, Ariel, right, has a sidekick. Who's the sidekick of Ariel? Sebastian, right? Yeah. So everyone has a sidekick. So we also thought about that. The poor feature lead needs a sidekick, and we call it the feature buddy. And it's a buddy. It's just like someone from the team that is an experienced feature lead that has done feature leading before, and helping this person here to make this role not very scary. So we are actually growing more feature leads by giving feature leads a feature buddy. And then people don't feel on their own. They say just like, what should we write in this update? We need to talk to the product people. Somehow the requirements are not right, or we don't know how to succeed. So that's actually when you just like can chat with your feature buddy. You can just like say, yeah, great idea. We're doing that, right? So teams need to work closely together. So build a culture of teams really working closely together. You saw product teams and engineering teams build stuff together, right? And empower your teams to get the support from those very, very fast, right? So that's also, I don't want to wait, and I don't want to wait until the product team is ready. I have the feature lead who's a proxy in between, right? So I can go to the feature lead and say, what do you think? Like, should we build it this way or that way? And then you get the support very fast. This is important, right? But it's not just product and engineering. That's just like maybe the obvious thing. It's all kinds of people that are in the software development lifecycle or have to just like do something with the software that the developers are building, right? It's the quality people, right? The quality department that just like needs to work close together with the engineering. It's the marketing department that needs to do that. But how do we actually get them together? So what we do actually is what we call demo sessions. So every 2 weeks, the team runs a demo session to just like demonstrate, and we have strict rules around that. We should demonstrate the outcome. So the customer outcome, not the implementation details. We're not talking about that, but we talk about the customer outcome. And it's a great opportunity to talk about and review what we wanted to build, right? With the whole team, not just with the engineering team. It's coming together, so not just with the developers, but it's the product people, the quality department, the IT people, all the people come together. So in the past, we did it this way, right? So we brought everyone in one room and had a demo session each Friday or something. Well, so now we are actually more distributed. So we're using that, moving that to Zoom to have just like sync meeting. But we thought actually that async videos are the best way actually to do this, right? So we actually use Loom for that. So the person in charge is just like recording a video every 2 weeks, or different people recording videos every 2 weeks, explaining what we have been building. Now you might say, isn't that just a one-way street, right? Demo sessions were so great because you could see just like people were nodding and say, oh yeah, they agree, great. Or they were just like, oh, this is a brilliant idea. They were just like lighting up, or even just like laughing because something is funny, or even just like asking questions and discussing things about why are we doing it this way? Guess what? You can do the same things with Loom, but just in an asynchronous way, because we're not all working in the same time zone. So we need to get this discussion out of a room and into the world. So we actually, you can't see that here, the button, there's this line here, but you can see all the reactions that Patrick Hill here got for his video, right? And then also the comments, and we have a lot of discussions in those videos, back and forth. But it's helping everyone to just like see what's going on and also ask questions around that, right? So, and demos are great for first, just like getting a status update. What is happening, right? And I can go to every demo at Atlassian, so I can just like go into Loom and see every demo and see this new tool that we're building, that we're announcing next week, right? How's it going? What's the current status? So I can go to this and watch the demo video, so everyone can do that. Way more accessible than when we were in one room. But also, you get early feedback. So this is also super important, that you get early feedback, that you don't build like in the waterfall development, just like build everything, show it at the end to the customer or to the product people or to the quality people. And then they said, no, that's not exactly this. So very, very important. And also our engagement. We have 50% more engagement through videos, right? So 50% more people that are watching videos, that are reacting on videos, that are asking actually questions because they feel more safe to ask a question on the video than doing it in a room full of people, right? And we want to encourage that. We want to build that. We want to encourage that. We want to move that forward, and we call it a demo culture, right? And we have actually a goal inside Atlassian to have 5,000 demo videos in 2024. So that means we have 200 teams. That means 25 videos per team, which means every 2 weeks we want a video from that. So this is something that we measure and just like tell teams to do that demo culture. Yeah, and we can do that, and it spreads so good because we have a say and it's open by default. So everything that we do is first open to the whole company, right? We need to actively close things down if we say, okay, this shouldn't be for the whole company, right? Like interview new candidates, no one should see that, right? Or just like specific people should see that, right? It shouldn't see the whole company. So also that, it's just like, but everything else should be open by default. And that's actually also when you just like take a look in our Confluence instance. Actually, there's a say at Atlassian said, if it's not in Confluence, it didn't happen. So everything that actually when you have a discussion around it and say, where can I read more about it? It's always just like, yeah, so there's a page for it, right? So there's always a page for it. And if it's not there, it didn't really happen. So you need to put in a page, right? So the discussion is great, but the result needs to be on a page so everyone can see that. And that has benefits. You might think like, oh, but now there are a lot of pages with a lot of content and a lot of context behind it. It's true. There is just like a lot of pages, but we can do things then with AI that helps us to get this to the surface way better. So it's the first time I landed this morning at 4 a.m. here in Bangalore. It's the first time I've been here. We have an office here. So I just like asked, hey, what do I need spelling error in there? What do I need to know when visiting the Bangalore office, right? And then Atlassian Intelligence is just like summarizing me all the guidelines for children I'm interested in. But anyway, just like the lockers, transportation, desk booking setup. So all of these things comes from different pages, and I don't have to just like go into Confluence, find the right page, and do that. Or even here, dark mode, right? I can ask like, what do users say about the dark theme in Jira? And experience that. I mean, think about that, right? What would you do in an organization where this is not in Confluence or in an open format? I need to just like find the person who just like gets the support, is in support, get the feedback, right? And I can just like ask this question, and in 3 seconds I have the right answer here. That if you read through it, customers think dark theme is a little bit too dark, so we need to change the colors. But okay, you can find the answer easily with just like a question that you do, because we have a culture of doing things open by default. So empower your developers to get the info they need without any friction, right? Without any friction, but they need to just like tap into the data that they need for their work, right? Is it with a demo or with a Confluence page? This needs to be open. Now, talking about friction here, Megan is a leader. I think she's leading the product for our agile tools. And as a leader, Megan is very open, so you can just like go to Megan or ping Megan on Slack and ask all kinds of questions. And she gets all kinds of questions, right? The whole day, right? And even questions is what color should the create button have, right? Which Megan just like, I don't care. But the problem is really, some questions are very important, but the problem is Megan has just like limited capacity of answering all those questions. And making those decisions, it's just like also putting a lot of pressure on Megan, right? And just like to tell me, what's the data behind it? Should I use it? So we actually need to find a way to just like make decisions more closer to the people that are actually running those decisions. So here we have this question that Megan got: how should we continue with the Jira Mac app? So we had for a few years, we had a Mac app in Jira. So native Mac app, there was Jira, and then we maintained it. So there was a whole team maintaining it. If there were changes in the web app, it also has to be in the native app. So there was a lot of work. So people were asking, should we really do that, right? Should we really do that? And they came with a question to Megan, and Megan said, please run a DAISY. I said, okay, DAISY. DAISY is an acronym that we use inside of Atlassian, and a lot of decisions are made with DAISYs. It stands for driver, approver, informed, and contributors. So these are the roles that you have in a DAISY. But basically, it's just a page, again, a Confluence page. And you see, like here, Irene is the driver of the DAISY. So she's actually the one that is responsible for moving things forward, to make the decision on time, because there's also a due date of the 30th of November that we have to do. So she's the one that drives everyone forward. Then we have the approver, which is Megan. So Megan can read through the page and approve it, but she doesn't need to make the decision because she gets the recommendation from the contributors. So the contributors are the people that really discuss this decision. They are the ones that are actually doing the work, right? And then, smartly enough, there are people that are getting only informed, right? They are not part of the discussion. You don't have to listen to them. They just rely on this decision somehow, or affected by this decision, right? But they don't take part of the discussion. So we write everything down about the background, the Jira macOS app, how much work this is, how much users are using it. It's just like 1% of the users that have a Mac are just like using the Mac app. The rest is just like using the web app. And then we have the different options. We put the different options out here. And you can see like there are different options. We could just like sunset the Mac app totally. We could keep the status quo. We could replace the Mac with a multi-platform desktop app, so just like running a web frame. So these are the different options. And then we have all the risks that and opportunities that these options have. And at the end, the team recommended to sunset the app, and then we decided to sunset the app. So Megan just like approved it and said, yeah, let's sunset the app. So there's no Jira macOS app anymore on the macOS App Store, right? Also, this decision frame, we use Confluence, which is pretty handy because you can mention people and they get notifications every time there's a discussion and there's changes somewhere, so they can follow what's going on. They can see when the decision is made, especially important for the informed people. But yeah, it's a DAISY. So also the DAISY is in the team playbook. So you can just like go in there, there's a framework in there. You can use that immediately. But sometimes, so this async work is great, right? Because we can just like do it asynchronously. But sometimes things require a more like discussion, right? So you need to go sometimes from synchronize, from asynchronized to synchronized. With other words, let's put everything on a page, all the options, have the initial discussions, and then have a meeting to make the recommendation for Megan, or make the decision maybe together with Megan. So we organize a meeting. The problem in that meeting is that, and I've been in that meeting too. This person has read the DAISY page and is totally informed about what's going on. Well, this person hasn't had time to read the DAISY page, so it's on a different level and tries to catch up. And this person here is trying to catch up during the meeting, reading all the DAISY pages. I've been in that meeting before, where we want to really avoid that thing that people have different information. We want to make a good decision, right? And it doesn't work that we say, please read that page before you go into the meeting. That doesn't really work. So what we do is actually, we say, don't read anything, right? Just come to the meeting. Which seems just like crazy. We should like prepare for meetings, right? But we just like say, don't come in. And we call it one-pager meetings. Has a couple of rules, so no prep needed, right? We don't prep for it. No slides, not a slideshow, just the document, right? And then we use our time intentionally. 5% of the time of the meeting we use for instruction. 20% of the time is reading the document, right? And then 70% of the time is spent with discussions, and then 5% of the time we discuss next steps, right? And this is intentional time, right? We use the time intentionally to that, and no one has to prep for it. So let's dive a little bit into that, right? So reading time. How do we say how much reading time there is? So we use the Confluence feature that is here, 9 minutes reading time, right? And say if the reading time is 9 minutes or below, right? 45-minute meetings. If it's below 6 minutes, it's a 30-minute reading, and if it's below 12 minutes, it's a 60-minute reading, right? So if it's over 12 minutes, maybe we have too much information on that page to discuss in one meeting. And then we say, want to go, turn your cameras off, and comment on the page, right? We use the comment features on the page, comment on the page to just like see what should we discuss in the 70% of the meeting. And then we also have rules like we use the inline comments, that's just like highlighting comment, right? This can be clarified later. We don't have to do that in the meeting. It's not important. So something like where does the data come from? Doesn't really matter, right? So this is not something we need to discuss with the whole group, but we use the page comment then down at the bottom, right, to actually say this is something that we need to discuss, and then we discuss it. The people, the driver actually of the DAISY needs to just like update the page, so accordingly to what's been discussed, and then we have this thing is source of truth, right? There's no meeting notes, nothing. There's just like this one document that tells us what decision we have made. And we do that not just with decision, we do that with new ideas, right? Is that a new idea that we really should move forward, right? We just like write it down, we invite people, we discuss it, and then we decide should we move the idea forward, right? So it is important that building a culture of intentional sync time, right? Sync time is good, right? We're trying to do as much async as possible because we're distributed, but sync time is good, but then this time should be used intentionally and also empower your teams to get to a decision fast, right? So we've been talking the last 45 minutes about work, right? How do we build a culture for great work, right? How can we move our work forward? How can we be better at work? But empower teams, right? And it's not just about work. It's also about the people in those teams. This is also important. We need to think about just like, how do you feel inside your teams to build to just like show up in the best way you can, right? So people needs, and that's what we found out, they need to feel connected, to be a team, right? And we know that a team is more than the sum of its parts. So we want to build great teams, right? So, but how do you make that if like we are distributed, right? We're distributed over the whole world. And the teams are, we organize teams that they are in time zones, so they need to have an overlapping time zone, maximum of 3 hours time zone difference. But still, right, they work in different locations. So we have this actually what we call intentional togetherness, to help people to feel more connected. So I did it beginning of this year with my team. We met in Sydney. This is my team. Yeah, it's a very small team, but we met in Sydney. This is Bondi Beach. We started with a long walk. We had great conversations about what's happening with our families, and then we also talked a lot about work, which set the baseline for the rest of the week. So intentional being together, it's not just like having a good time, but it's also just like bonding and building the base for great work, right? And we're measuring that. We're measuring how better do we get in connectiveness. And team connection grow by 27%. So 27% better team connections. That's what people are saying. So we're running this with all kinds of teams. It's not just our team. We have a lot of intentional togetherness, and in average, they say 27% of increase of team connectiveness. Now, that's great, right? So run a couple of team intentional togetherness and you feel better connected. Well, the problem is that it drops again after a while. And we found out that after 4 to 5 months, it drops back to where it were before. So you need to do these intentional togetherness regularly to feel connected with your teams. Important for your team to feel connected. Otherwise, you can't work together in a team. You can't build psychological safety in your team. You can't speak out the problems that you have in your team if you don't feel connected with your team, right? And another thing that helps actually also to appreciate what people have been doing, right? So saying just like thanks for your great work, right? Intentionally. So at Atlassian, you can actually, we have a portal that we use where you can give kudos to people. So it's a peer-to-peer thing. Everyone can give kudos to everyone. If you just like see someone has done great work, which aligns with our culture that we have, with our values that we have, then we can give people kudos. So it's actually also built in Atlas. So this is the portal. You can just like choose the person. Here it was Noli actually that I gave kudos, because Noli was actually running a customer roundtable, and she did a great job with this roundtable. I was participating in that roundtable, and I want to thank just like for creating such a great event. Now I have to select a company value. These are company values, the customer. So she did something for the customer. So I really say, okay, we celebrate our values here. And then I can choose a gift card. So she gets a gift card, $20 from Amazon, and she can do whatever she wants with that, right? So this is really great. So Noli just like immediately said on Slack, hey, thanks, Sven, that's so great. So happy. I could really feel through Slack her smile. So important that we celebrate these small things that happens inside of teams, right? And give people kudos with that. And it doesn't have to be the gift card. You can just like, when you go home tomorrow or whenever you go back to work, just like go to someone, you say, oh yeah, they did a really great job. I didn't say that, but let's write a Slack message or a Teams message or whatever to that person and say, hey, thank you very much. This was so great. And you just like see how the team grows together or how you grow together with that person immediately. So celebrate these things, right? So this is Carla Overbeck. Carla Overbeck is a soccer player. She has been won the 1999 world champion for the US team, soccer. And her grandpa really put her into the place, right? So her grandpa said, when she was start playing soccer, you get $1 for a goal, right? $1 for a goal. Great. So she can shoot a lot of goals. But he said also, you get $1.50 for every assist that you do. So assist people so other people shoot goals, right? And this is the intention that we want to put into teams, right? We want to help each other out. That's why we are a team. We need to celebrate our team values together. So we can do that in a couple of things, right? We can just like give people kudos. We can say, thank you very much. Or we can say, this is great. This is really good. Or we can write a poem for someone if you want, right? Or we can basically sing a song. Do you have the sound up? Sound guys?
what we've been through. Oh, really? How much whiskey can one drink? Night and the night, last in the night. Get hella shit.
Yeah, great. I mean, it's if people sing a song for you, you feel totally happy, totally empowered, and it's a great build a culture of this intentional togetherness, being together, celebrate wins together. Super important, right? So empower teams to do these kind of things. Now, I've been talking a lot about empower teams. So I've been talking here about measure what really matters, which plays well with have value and metrics in place, or time to fix your developer experience, which is helping with you continuously improve stuff, or feature lead processes, suitable ways of working, find these suitable ways of working, right? Or build a demo culture which aligns with building a shared understanding in your team so everyone knows actually what they are doing and why they are doing it. Or we have the intentional togetherness, which helps you to build a cohesive team together and then celebrate team wins, right? Which helps you to have engagement and support. So these things are not randomly on that. We actually have made a lot of research into what makes actually a healthy team, right? And we found that these values here, plus encourage your differences inside of teams and have a balanced team with the right roles on your team. If you just like power high here or just like score high here, you are a healthy team. So these are the things that makes a healthy team. So try to empower your team to build your team health. So little exercise here. I want you to just like think about in your team that you're currently working in, do you have the right values and metrics in place? Or what are you struggling the most with? Is it with we don't have really values and metrics that we're measuring or that we have written down. We don't think about continuous improvement. We don't have suitable ways of working. We don't have really a shared understanding of what we are doing together. We don't have a real good key team cohesion, or engagement and support in the team is not really there, or we don't really encourage differences. Everyone, we just like have a discussion. One person is just like leading that discussion and the other getting ignored, the other opinions. And we don't have really a balanced team. We're missing some roles here. So what is actually your team health kryptonite? Please, can we somehow, okay, I try to fix that. All right. Internet is down. Sorry for that. Yeah, I have a hotspot. But that's actually also not working. That's fine, fine.
It's just not working. No Wi-Fi.
I don't know. Let's say.
Refresh the.
Just a sec. Okay, that didn't work. Small technical issues.
No hotspot.
I think it's fine. We'll just like skip it. All right. Sorry. I want to have the experiment. We can also do a show of hands if that's fine with you. It's not as secure because you have to show what's your issue. So think about it. What is your team kryptonite? So who's here said, values and metrics, that's my team kryptonite. No one here, you have all the right values and metrics in place. Great. Continuous improvement, that's really what we are struggling. No one here, one person started with continuous improve, 2. All right. Suitable ways of working. We don't have the right ways of working, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. That seems to be something. Shared understanding. We don't have okay. Yeah. Shared understanding. Team cohesion. Anyone that the team doesn't feel like, also engagement and support in the team, 1, encourage differences, also 1, and balanced team, yeah, you all kind of, yeah, a few. Okay, great. It's the same thing that I see over and over again. It's shared understanding, building a shared understanding of what you're building together as a team. A lot of teams struggle with that. So you can build the team health monitor you can use that tool. We call it Team Health Monitor, and it's pretty easy. You have just like 3 dots, like red, yellow, and green. And what you do is just like you do thumbs up, thumbs middle, thumbs down with the team, and says, are we just like good at value and metrics? And then you just like say, yeah, this is green, this is green, this is red. So just like to find out where are you struggling as a team, and then tackle those issues and speak it out loud. It helps you with your team health, and it makes productive teams, high productive teams are also healthy teams. That's super important. We use Trello for that. You can also use Trello for that if you're not in one room. Just like put on the cards here, and then put on the labels, and then fill out that board, whatever you want. Also, the health monitor is part of the team playbook, free resource. And there's also some other templates that you can use to run those team health monitor with your teams. Do that regularly and try to tackle those things that you find out. It's important that we build a culture of healthy teams and that teams actually get time and are empowered to fix their own problem. Now, we've heard a lot about, or I hear a lot about, that empowering your teams gives a lot of autonomy to teams, right? But we as an organization, we also need standards, right? We need high standards. We need to standardize on certain things. It's easier for onboarding new people, right? We need to standardize on a way of work, right? And guess what? There's no right or wrong answer, right? Autonomy, too much autonomy, maybe also not good. Too much standardization, we have seen where this leads to, right? But there's always a balance about that. And I don't say just like, yeah, go fully autonomy, right? If you see what I talked about is, I gave you DevX surveys, right? Or we give our developers DevX surveys, right? The whole framework around how to do DevX surveys, right? But the developers need to tackle their own DevX problems. It's their responsibility to tackle their own DevX problems, right? Or we give them the project updates framework. We have built this Atlas thing. We have done it before in Jira, or we just like can give them a template for running that. But the feature lead is actually the ones that holding that together, and how the team carries that out, that's totally up to them, right? That's their autonomy. But we have a standard how we just like get project updates in, right? Or decisions, right? The team needs to make the decision, but we have this process that gives team a little bit of standardization, how to run that, a little bit more security, how to run these things. Or what I just like said, the kudos portal, right? If you want to celebrate the wins, we give them the kudos portal as a kind of just like helping them to go into that direction, to just like celebrate the wins of your team. With other words, we're giving teams actually some kind of the building blocks, right? The building blocks, how to build their own ways of working. But the thing is, they need to just like build their own ways of working. There shouldn't be a bigger, high process organization that tells them how to work, right? And if you see what IKEA is doing, they give you the building blocks, and you have to assemble them, put them together to build this chair, right? So the team, we give the team the building blocks, the team assembles this, and guess what? You call it the IKEA effect, because people feel more connected to what they actually build if they build it with their own hands. And it's the same actually for if you give teams the building blocks, how to build their own ways of working. But if they put them together themselves and say, it's our decision, this is how we want to work, they own this, they take on more responsibility, and they feel more empowered. So this is important. You build a culture with this of empowered teams, right? So I want you to join this DEV-olution, build a culture of empowered teams, and go out there and change the way you work. So you're happier, your company is happier, everyone is happier. So thank you very much.